I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this episode is being recorded and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Welcome to Can I Get a Refill? The podcast that offers a nurturing and inspirational space for honest and open discussions around career aspirations, wealth creation, motherhood, healthy relationships with others and the self, as well as an emphasis on physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Join us for lighthearted, authentic chats with like-minded women, as well as more in-depth discussions with industry professionals to support your ambitions and heal old wounds, as we empower you to regularly fill up your own cup. I'm your host, Steph Bruno-Newton, singer, writer, podcast host, mum, and recovering people pleaser. Thank you for pressing play today, and now let's get into the episode. Hello and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast. We have I always say this, a very special episode today. Might not be that special for you, but it's super special for me because my best friend is joining us, Delie Etherington. Delie, thanks so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Steph. I'm so excited about this.
I am so excited. But for everyone listening, we are best friends and we now live very far away from each other, so we have not caught up in actual months. So this might go on and on and on, so I'm happy to edit out too much chit-chat and get carried away with it. But most of you know I've recently returned to work. I've probably talked about it a little bit in the last few podcasts and how it's such a huge adjustment, like more than I even realised. So I thought it was really good to have two mums, to get two different perspectives for us to talk about it. It's such a great episode for either mums who have just returned to work or mums who, I know a lot of mums who are on maternity leave are like, I can't even think about returning to work right now. So it's not an episode to frighten anyone. It's just to give a real, authentic, honest, nitty-gritty chat about what's working, what's not working, what we might do differently. So your kid's a few months ahead of mine. I know it's 9 months because I found out I was pregnant when you were being wheeled in for your, for your
That's
delivery.
Right. I know, so exciting.
I can't even remember that day, but Alan was in Queensland for work and I'm pretty sure I told you before him because I just wanted you to know that we were pregnant at the same time for at least a day.
So funny.
That was crazy. So your firstborn is nearly a year and a half old and you returned to work last year as Arlo started childcare. What feelings came up for you and how did you both settle into the new routine?
Oh, it was a complete roller coaster and still is in so many ways.
That's parenthood
exactly,
in general.
Yeah. I mean, all through my parental leave, I had this aim of going back at 10 months and I kind of thought the whole time, is it going to be too soon? Am I going to be ready?
10 months is pretty good.
It's good. And the closer I got to that time, I kind of thought, yeah, I'm getting ready to kind of, transition into that return to work. But Arlo was a terrible sleeper from day one. Yeah. So, battling sleep deprivation, all of those things. I was anxious.
But that impacts everything.
Everything.
How can you think clearly if you hadn't had a good night's sleep? Exactly. I have a friend at work who has a puppy at the moment who woke her up at like 5 a.m. and she's like, I'm going to say something and I don't want you to yell at me. And she's like, my first thought was, what I wouldn't give for a good night's sleep. And she's talking to two mums and we just laughed going, yeah, no, I get it. Like it's brutal. You don't know until you know, but it really affects your life, the lack of sleep.
Exactly. And so sort of dealing with that and going, what's he going to be like at that point when I go back to work? Is he going to be sleeping through? And he wasn't. He was still waking up a couple of times a night, but it was much better than the kind of 10, 12 times that were there.
You went to Tresillian, right?
I did go to Tresillian.
And you found that helpful?
It was. It was when Arlo was about 6 months and I was getting to a point where I just felt broken from just no sleep and, Phil was back at work and so I was kind of home all day with Arlo and he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't napping, he just was a total sleep dodger.
And you were predominantly breastfeeding, right? So it's not like you can say to your husband, oh, hey, you take some of the feed so I can...
Exactly.
And you know what? It's not the person going to work who needs to be fresh. It's the person parenting that needs to be fresh because you need the energy all day. Exactly. But you can't if you're breastfeeding.
Yeah. I mean, I would pump and so you could kind of take a bottle of pumped milk, but of course he had bottle rejection and only wanted to be breastfeeding. So it does add that element of dependence on the breastfeeding mother.
Yeah, it does.
That. Yeah, so I mean, nervousness, I was anxious, all of those things of how was all of that going to work. I was still breastfeeding when I was planning to go back to work, but it just kind of fell into place.
But were you nervous because it was new and you didn't know how it was going to work out, or were you sad you were going to miss him, like separation anxiety?
It was both. I think I got the mum guilt of I shouldn't be, putting him in childcare, all of these things. We don't have family close by that can help with childcare, so it was going to be, what are our care options? And that he's going to have to be in daycare. So we, went around and inspected loads of centres. We found one that we were really happy with, and then we did
that's
trial
a job
days.
in itself, finding daycare. Because I remember being on maternity leave thinking, I pictured it being a lot of tra-la-la, picnic in the park, and it was just so much admin.
Exactly.
It should have been like not just, all the injections and the medical appointments, but then trying to get him on wait lists and doing all the research, and you feel like his secretary in a way.
I know, and the wait lists, we'd go in. I was 12 weeks pregnant when we started looking at centres, and we'd go in and they'd say it's a 2-year wait.
Oh,
and
you
I'm like,
did.
well, so what? I've got to have known before I was even pregnant that I would need a spot in 2 years. Like it's just, but we were lucky that a spot came up and it was at one of our
what?
preferred.
They always do, though.
They say it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think just building that trust with the centre and having him in on some intro days while I was still on leave, so he'd go in for kind of stay and play for a few hours and then I'd get him, was a really nice gradual...
It's an easing into it. It's like slowly walking into the pool, like step by step, and acclimatising. I like that. And when I see Leo, my wonderful mum friend Claire took him yesterday, was it 2 days ago, Thursday, I was in the office and Alan's like, listen, I've got to go out. Is there anyone we can text? And I was like, try Claire. She's got a daughter who's 2 weeks younger than Leo. Yeah. And Leo came home so happy, so calm, had a great sleep because he was playing with another kid his age. And I was like, oh, this is great. He needs not to be with his parents all day, every day. He needs interaction with other kids. So
social benefits. We've been the same. We've gone... just watching him thrive. And, I'll still get choked up when I drop him off some days, especially Mondays after the weekend.
I'm going to cry right now because I haven't done it yet and I just don't know if I can.
And I recommend, I did it while I was still on leave so that I could have that. All right, I'm just going to be back in 2 hours to get him. But on that first full day at work in the office, I was constantly checking the app for updates, but I get there and he's having the time of his life. Now when I pick him up, he sees me and runs in the opposite direction back to the sandpit because he doesn't want to leave.
And I was like that when I was with my friends because it's fun, because it's play. You're playing.
Exactly.
But I'm interviewing all mums, and there's a girl at work she's just come back to work after 12 months and she looks ready and, happy, and she's the most gorgeous boy. And he's in childcare and she's saying that, I said, did he like cry when he sees you? She's like, yeah, only when not when I drop him off. When I pick him up at the end of the day, he's playing, then he sees me and then it's like, like almost like you didn't leave me. And then, but she goes, then he stops straight away. So it's fine. Because I said, do you cry? I mean, I would just cry seeing Leo do that. But then it'd also be good for my ego. Like, yeah, he still loves me.
Exactly. He did when he was younger, but now that he's out and about running around the yard with the bigger kids, he's having so much fun.
Doesn't that ease your mum guilt? Like, I'm not punishing him putting in childcare. I'm rewarding him. He's having play.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the things, just the learning experiences that he has and the arts and crafts that he does, there's things that I just couldn't emulate at home. And I just see
because they're trained professionals to know what to come up with. Because the only time I get real mum guilt is when I'm working and I'm sitting at my laptop with my back to him, and that's the real mum guilt, that I should be playing with you. Or we just trialled a wonderful nanny, a 19-year-old girl who's coming in to look after him once a week for a few hours, sort of touching that, and they were very cute playing on the floor. But then I had that feeling like, it should be me. I'm his mum. I should be playing. And then I was like, no, he's having a great time. No. She's having fun. He's a cute kid. Who wouldn't have fun playing with a cute kid? So it's good for them to mix with different people and do different things. So it eases my mum guilt. And you know what? Even if it's half a day, once a week, it's buying my sanity, like to not just be on call. Everyone's at me, pulling me in 100 different directions, just to have that time where I can put headphones in and just catch up on my work. It feels great.
And they say it takes a village, and your village doesn't have to be your immediate family. It can be the childcare centre. Arlo has such a strong bond with one of his educators that it's just so beautiful to see. And I want him to have that, influence from other people, role models that are beyond his parents. I think it's so valuable.
I think it's beautiful, but not too much.
Not
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I'm number one. No, I'm kidding. But he bonded with my friend Claire straight away because we would, catch up and go for walks because you're navigating through. All my friends have kids, but there is something about bonding with mums who have kids the exact same age because you're going through it for the first time together, whereas I would come to you guys for your expert opinion, but it's nice to relate to them because you're both in the trenches, so to speak. So he just saw her all the time and she's just got this really, how I'm a loud personality and I always tend to attract friends who are the gentler energy like yourself, and it's like that. She's got this beautiful, warm, gentle energy and he's just always looked in her face. But he was not interested in other kids. The first few months was Arlo like that? Like would look at the mums and not the other kids, and now he loves playing with her daughter, and that's when it's cute because now they're both crawling and playing with each other.
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
so
cute to watch.
He's been pretty good interacting with other kids from the beginning, I would say.
Yeah, Leo had no interest. He just loved pretty mums with nice warm smiles. It was the men was not interested in. Because my old friends would pick him up. I'm like, don't be offended. He's just not that interested in men. It's very, very cute. Okay, so what other ways do you think you guys had to settle into the new routine as a family and with work?
So the juggle is just incredible. I mean, if you're not organised the night before, it's just absolute chaos. I look at families who have more than one kid and are like, how do they physically leave the house? Because for us, it's just absolute madness. But
I always say that about single mums. They deserve a parade because
incredible.
If Alan's away for one day, I'm like, I can't do all this on my own because it's like, I can't even fucking shower. I need the tag team. I need someone you do this while I do this. So go on.
No. So it's just been so good having, amazing support from my employer and just being able to gradually ease back into that.
But that makes the biggest difference. So I work predominantly with women. Most of them have had kids. My direct boss has 3 children. Like the amount of not just support with the work and work conditions, but emotional support of checking in. Like last week, occasionally Alan would travel. I'm in the office Tuesdays, Thursdays, and occasionally Alan would travel on the Wednesday. So I have to take Leo into the office for just like an hour. Alan lands at the airport, comes to the office, picks him up, we do the handover. I got in there last week and just collapsed, and my boss hugged me and I'm just crying and they're like, it's just so much. Like some days are just so much. My neighbour knocked on my door going, I'm worried about you. I want you to call in sick today. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll be fine when I get there. Oh, and it was his first train trip. I stopped driving and he loved it.
So cute.
We both slept on the train. Like it was great. But I look at all the women supporting me at work and I think back to the previous job where it was all men and you had no hybrid working, no flexible conditions. And I was like, how would I wouldn't have done it. I couldn't. It's just no way it would have worked. So having the support network, especially from your employer, is so key in the transition back to work, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I don't know how I would have done it with any other conditions.
No.
So, and I think, having that, you've just got to make sure you find the model of care that works for you, that it works with your employment situation, and that it's a time that, you are ready to go back. And if you've got to go back earlier than you would like because of financial,
I went back 5.5 months. I think I'm still the only mum out of the mum group that I'm chatting with that's back, and I get real FOMO when they catch up at 10:30 on a Wednesday to play at the park, and I'm like, I'll try and do an early lunch break, and I couldn't make it work last week, and I was like, but hey, sometimes bills have to be paid and sometimes you have to go back, and it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to just sit and bitch and complain about it because I'm grateful to be employed and making money. I'm grateful to have a flexible working condition where I can make both work. And when I take Leo in, I don't even hold him. They're all like, give him to me. Yeah. He's a good kid though.
I completely agree. I think as well, just role modelling that for Arlo, having him see, that I spent all of this time kind of putting time and effort into my career, and I've, really prided myself on it. And for, that to still remain a big, important part of my life and to kind of role model that for him, I think
it's a real different generation of these kids growing up. So we had, and I'm not saying it's better or it's worse, it's just different. I just remember all the mums when I was in school, primary school in the 90s, all the mums being at the gate ready to pick us up. My mum didn't work till I was like 7 or 8 when I got into dancing, and just as a way to pay for school fees. So my dad covered everything. And it was nice. Like it was mum would make Play-Doh from scratch on the stove. Really? And what did you build? I did Gumby. Do you remember Gumby? I always built Gumby. The green and the blue lady and And it was relaxed and it was nice, but we're not worse or neglecting mothers. It's great. It's like a great influence for the kids to see that the mum's got a strong work ethic and, wow, look at my super mum juggling everything. Like it's really good. Yeah.
And the stay-at-home mums definitely have the hardest job of all, in my opinion.
Delie,
way
my
harder.
days in the office are a holiday. I need them. Like if anyone said to me, I'll do a full work from home thing, I'd be like, oh, fuck no, that's not going to happen. Like I need it. Yeah. I need that break. Okay, enough about kids. Now for the juicy question. How has your relationship with your husband changed since becoming parents? And what have you loved most about watching Phil embrace fatherhood?
How's it changed? I mean, certainly in the beginning, in the newborn phase, when you're just in that total sleep deprivation, absolutely just, they call it the flatmate phase because you're almost like passing ships in the night.
I think I texted you saying something like that and that's what you reassured me with. It is.
It's just normal.
Teammates.
Completely. You've just got to you're almost in survival mode. You've got this,
it is
the best thing that's ever happened to you, this tiny little human, but also you're doing it on, no sleep. The house is upside
down. Did you hear
down.
my podcast last week where I said it was the best of times? It was the worst of times because it is like, how dare I feel upset? This is the best, most fun, rewarding thing. But do you remember how I always used to say, I delayed having kids purposely because I wanted to do things for myself, for my career. Alan's younger. We wanted to, we were out partying for until I was 40, I would say. And then I was like, you know what? I just want to take a big nap and wake up to a 4-year-old. Remember I used to say, like, I love kids that go to school, come home and tell me really funny shit.
Yeah.
I had no desire for nappy changing. You like just a blob that laid there. And then I met him. And then I'm like, stop growing so quickly. I just want to hold you to me. Like, but I felt that survival mode sort of carried on for a while and then it got fun. And then I went back to work and then it got the hardest it was that I look back and go, oh, newborn was just a breeze. Like it was fun because I didn't have to back it up with work the next day. So if I was sleep deprived, I could catch up. So I know it's just different phases all the time. But I'm jumping in, but I'm just going to say before I forget my train of thought that Alan looked bewildered when I brought Leo home because you know how I said he got sick and we were in the hospital just the two of us for days and Alan has been around nieces and nephews, or especially nephews, for years. So I'm like, this guy's going to, be the best parent. I'll have no idea what I'm doing. He looked so lost. And even his mum said to me, oh, I didn't think you'd ever have kids. Alan always seemed like he didn't want them. And I was like, oh, you should have told me that in the beginning. And he looked lost with this newborn. As soon as Leo developed this little personality, and especially when I went back to work, I got no business getting in the way of these two. They have got this special bond that I cannot compete with. Like, yes, he loves his mum and yes, he'll always come to me for comfort, but he shows off for Alan. But they have something very special and I love watching that. And I love, like Alan's very, very playful because I know that from when I babysat the nephew. I got tired after 2 hours and had to lay down and I was like, you take over, and he's on the floor playing. But it's lovely to watch that side of Alan and to watch them form a real bond that has really nothing to do with you.
I completely agree. I think Phil and I were only reflecting on this the other day. So when Arlo was a newborn and I was breastfeeding, obviously the parental preference is naturally going to be towards the mum. But now,
even just from the sheer smell of you, really,
And as he enters the toddler phase, he has become such a daddy's boy. It's hilarious. And if the chips are down, like he had a terrible daycare virus a few weeks ago.
Goes to mum.
I only wanted to lie on my chest.
It's comfort. Your comfort. Yeah,
I get it. He needs a cuddle before bed because he's very good at self-settling, but Phil will put him in the cot. Okay, night, love you, and walk out. But if he, needs that cuddle, he knows he'll get it from me. But otherwise, it's daddy, daddy, daddy. He's just obsessed with him.
Yeah, but I was told that 0 to 6, they need their mum. Boys, this is boys. 7 to 13, dad. 14 to 21, peers. So
no, it's younger.
I thought I had a good 6 years of my child being just my child. And I'm like, oh, I'm out, am I? Mama's in the office earning money and I'm just like, at first I was offended and now I'm like, no, it is adorable to watch.
And I think it's really good to see as well because it does, not that they don't feel useful in the newborn stage, but it does give them this
100%.
Sense of purpose, more of a sense of purpose.
Yeah, I definitely hear that from my friends who breastfed because they're like, I'm trying to find a way to include him in things, whereas Al and I were 50-50 with the bottle feed, so it was fine. But it was, he definitely looked deer in the headlights for weeks.
I think Well, I mean, for Phil, the moment Arlo was born, he just picked him up skin to skin,
Yeah.
and there was that instant bond. But I do hear that there can be, that time in the newborn period where there
was a bond. I think Alan second guessed his parenting skills, and I was like, dude, no one knows what the fuck they're doing. I go, you're doing great. Like, just relax. Yeah. Like, he's, I remember when he would cry for nappy changes, and Alan, Alan, chillest guy you've ever met. He's like, all right, mate, I'm coming, mate. I'm like, pressure that he wasn't changing the nappy quick enough. And I would just put Stevie Nicks on that song, Crystal. Is it Crystal? I love that. And just change it. And I found it real chill, and just Alan couldn't handle it. Now if he cries, Alan's like, you're all right, mate. Everything's fine. Like, it's so funny how he eased into it and just stopped second guessing himself. But we all do that. Exactly. That's why if we have a second child, I'm looking forward to the not second guessing myself and not relying on external opinions. Just like, we know what to do now. Yeah, it'll be easier. 100%. But talk to me more about your relationship with Phil, because I feel like I said to you, like, there's Alan and Leo, there's Steph and Leo, and there's Steph, Alan and Leo, but there's no Steph and Alan anymore. And when you've been together a long, long time, it can feel like, oh my God, where did we go? Because 9 years it was just Alan and I, and we did everything. Like, we're very loners too. We'll do a lot of stuff on our own as well, but there was so much of just us, and there's a gate crasher in there now. So it's like, it really feels like the couple time, really, you got to really work at it.
I think that's true. Although, we've had friends and family say, why don't you go for a date night and we'll look after Arlo? And we go, oh, no, we kind of want to take him.
Yes, so there's certain things. The only time I say yes is when I want to go to the movies, because you can't take him. But I'm like, oh, no, I want him to see this restaurant. I want him to, exactly. So I think I mentioned this in the last episode too. It's surrendering to the season of life you're in, where I'm not missing out at all. I'm experiencing like a whole new joyous version of us, and it's a team. Like, we're a team now, and it's so cute doing things as a family. And I read that thing on Instagram where they're like, your weekends are their childhood. So I'm like, Alan, be present, mate. This is getting so big.
So
like, it's nice. But it is important to put like that just little pockets of you together. So I would like Leo to go down to sleep a little bit earlier so we can do a bit of like, like watching a new series, or like, there's just none of evenings with us anymore.
We've got that now.
Yeah.
So when he started sleeping through around 12 months, and now his bedtime's kind of 7:30, 8 o'clock, we can do that again. And now that you never get that sleep back, that sleep debt that you've had as a newborn parent. But now that before, as soon as he went down to bed, I'd just go to bed myself because I needed to get that sleep. Yeah. But now we can kind of get back into
it's nice.
The series.
Leo's been a great sleeper from the beginning. He'll sleep through, but he's a night owl. But we're night owls, and I think he's probably picked up on that, like, even from when I was pregnant. So, and when you get those clinic appointments, and I'm like, listen, I know you're all saying he should go to bed between 7 and 8. I said, I'm telling you now, he's only just starting his night routine, and then we have to do a top-up feed some nights to see them. Yeah. So he's going to sleep. It was between 10 and 11, but now we're sort of getting at 9 to 10. But he's just a night owl. He's just not tired. But he'll sleep all through the night, but then he'll sleep till 7. And I'm like, you know what? This is probably working out better for me because I'm a morning person. I wake up at 5, and now I'm getting so much done in the morning without this kid needing all my attention. So by the time he wakes up and plays, I'm good to play with him. So it depends. But, it would be nice if he went to bed a little bit earlier just for Alan and I to get a little bit of – there's so many series now that I just don't even wait for Alan. I just watch them on my phone now.
And do you find – because it's interesting what you say about having that morning time, because I did hear something – if your kid, your kid always wakes up at 6, set your alarm for 5:30 because even though it might be that you're more tired, you need that. I have just blocked.
Always needed it. Yeah. Even with Alan wakes up at 7:30. The little princess. He's always gotten a great sleep. I've always been a 5:30 person. But when he used to wake up, if I wasn't done with my morning routine, I'm always so excited to see Alan wake up and love a big hug. But there's a part of me that'd be like, oh, not yet. I'm not ready. I'm not done with my morning routine. So it's the same with both of them. It's still when Leo wakes up, it's like Christmas morning. I'm dying to cuddle and kiss him, but I need to wake up early because that is essential. Even if it's chores, even if it's putting dishes away, getting the laundry ready, I just need it before there's, two messy men in my way. So I need it. But with the relationship thing, I was thinking the other day, I walked past this spot we went to when we first started dating. I'm like, 1 minute I'm riding the back of his motorcycle, pashing under a palm tree near the beach. Next minute it's like, did you leave that dirty napping in the bottom of the pram? And he's like, hey, I'm doing everything over here. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. You're a great dad. So like,
It's so true.
You know, I need a bit more passion though. I'll have to do something about that. Motherhood is the most magical thing in the world, but the start of a new phase of life often means saying goodbye to a different phase and losing some independence and time for yourself. What do you like to incorporate into your routine to ensure you're filling up your cup on a regular basis? And I think you probably just said one, by getting a little extra time in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, it is just really small things for me. I would say. Just
small.
Getting those moments back in the day where it was all consuming before. Now, I think I said to you, because we always exchange books, that I'm a bit behind on the books that you'd given me because I couldn't
just took
read
2 months
heavy.
to read a novel.
Yeah.
2 months. I used to read novels in a week or two max. What the hell?
I know.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like I was reading just, really lighthearted or like kind of, romance or thrillers that just to, still be reading, but I couldn't invest in something that was really taxing.
A Little Life, Delie, that
Not that.
Still in therapy over that one?
Exactly. But now I'm kind of reading, books that I can kind of get into. I'm reading a book called Blue Sisters.
I haven't heard of that.
I think it's worth.
And you loved The Nightingale that I lent you.
Loved The Nightingale, and then I swiftly read The Women after it.
Oh, you have?
Author.
Did you love it?
It was good. I think
Nightingale's better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it got me more than Nightingale, but The Women is still.
Do you remember
very
when we used to talk
powerful.
about the Midnight Library?
Yeah.
And there's something about that book. It just lives in my mind rent free because I do that a lot. Like I look at different stages of my life, like, I could have been a singer, a successful singer. And I love that this book explores different possibilities of where your life could have gone. Like she was a successful rock star, but then her personal life wasn't good. Then she thought she was meant to end up with that boyfriend and she ended up putting on all this weight and getting unhealthy and he cheated on her. And then when she had just in the middle, where she was a successful author, had the daughter, and I picture she's lying on the floor of her daughter's room. I think it was the Labrador. She's talking to her daughter and she's like, you know what? I like this life. I hope I stay in this. And it was just before I was thinking about getting pregnant. And I was like, I think I want like a simple life. And now that Leo's born, I always think of that book like, yeah, this is good. I like this life. This is like, like the nice husband that's chill, then we're friends, and then the cute kid, and and doing the podcast, it's calm. Like I really like it. But I just finished his new book. I think it's called The Life Impossible, and I liked it, but I didn't love it like the Midnight Library. So I think it's the same, but I will read The Women.
No, you should check it out. It's a good one.
So reading is your little pocket of yourself?
Yeah, that time back. And then also running for me. So running was or is a huge part of my life. I do love running.
Yeah.
I was doing marathons and everything before I had Arlo. And I always pictured myself as being this, fit and active mum out there with my pram and all the stuff.
And he loves running when you run, right? He loves the wind in his face, yeah.
But, it took me a really long time to get back into running because I had traumatic birth, emergency C-section, really long recovery, and I was expecting that my body could do these things more quickly, but it couldn't.
It couldn't.
So that was
and I
really
remember the
hard.
frustration with you. I think you were saying you ran and you fell. And you are fit as anything, and it's just that healing process. But again, I am, this is my personal opinion, but the emergency ones, from what I'm hearing, do seem to be that slower recovery because I was just straight back into exercise. I couldn't believe, burpees are still sitting on the back burner. Yeah. I got straight back into it. But then I exercised, even with the neuromuscular issues, I did exercise all the way through it and kept my core strong. So I think that
I did through pregnancy as well. I
was
was
your
running
birth.
right
birth
up
stuff
to the third trimester, doing gentle HIIT, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it took a long time. And then when I did get cleared for running, I went just for a run around the lake, and Phil was walking behind with the pram, and I got a K in, fell over, cut all my arm up, had all bruising around my C-section scar. And
I didn't know that.
I was in tears, just absolutely rattled by it.
Yeah.
And then I fell again.
So
when
then
I
you
tried
lose
again,
your confidence.
And you lose your confidence.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed in myself and my body, and that it wasn't healing. And I went to the doctor, and that was exactly that. It was core strength. They said your stomach muscles aren't strong enough to be picking your legs up to run. So you need to focus on that. which I did.
The core took a while to come back in, and the core was always my best thing. And so when I'm sitting there like trying to do core things, and I'm like, why is this so hard? This is so frustrating. It was always my thing. Or when I'd go to pick Leo up from the floor, and I'm like, oh, I think I might have pulled something. So I was very nervous to do certain things, but yeah,
exactly. But no, now we run and we go every weekend as a family if we can, and do a 12K. Around the lake, and Arlo's in the running pram, and he either sleeps or he's chatting away and giggling, so he loves it. But nice. I think pretty soon he's going to want to be out running alongside us.
Alan and I always discuss that. So we both exercise every day, but Alan will go to the gym, and I still go to the gym, but I'm doing a hell of a lot more circuits in-house just because that's just the way my life is at the moment, and I'll run out of time and I have to log into work, so I'll do a 30 or a 45-minute circuit. I think I mentioned before Sydney Cummings on YouTube, the best workouts. And I'll do them here, and Leo has their hair, and he like mouth open stares at me, but then sometimes he'll laugh if I do like kicky or jumpy things. But he watches me so much that like this kid at 8 months is just about to walk, like he's crawling all over furniture. And I said to Alan, I'm sorry, but I think watching me move all day, every day is making him, and my dad, because no one in my family are gym goers. My dad was a soccer player, so he's still fit, but he's like, oh, this kid will be in the gym for sure from a young age because, Alan and I met in a gym. So I just think it's really good for the kids to see you being active. I just think it sets up a good message. But, it's very important to take those little things for yourself. And I recently, so I'm only in the office twice, but I was driving and I never, from Cronulla to Double Bay, it's a bit of a trek. And I was like, no, I better drive now in case something happens. I've got to come back and grab Leo. It takes longer on the train. Oh, my God, what an awful drive of peak hour, angry men and truck drivers and just bumper to bumper. Hated it. Went back to the train a few weeks ago. I was talking with Liz, Liz, and she's like, listen, public transport is my thing. Like it's always been our thing. I am so much happier because it's that 1 hour. It's full hour, but I get home quicker than when I used to drive. Yeah. And it's my time. In the morning, I'm always tired and I'll nap. Can't do that when you're driving. In the afternoon, I cut all my podcast reels. I do all my social posting. I've caught up on life admin. When I used to drive, I'm sitting there angry, like I could be doing things. And I've worked all day. I'm working by driving. I go home and I'm working as a mum. When do I have me? Where is me? And taking that time back has been a huge difference to my happiness, just having that little bit of Steph time. And sometimes it's just putting Tori Amos and, like Kate Bush and Stevie Nicks in my ears and staring out the window. Yeah. And I feel rejuvenated.
I'm the same. When I get on the bus in the morning, it's podcast or my Kindle or whatever.
Yeah. Reminds me of catching the train to school, just being that angsty teen looking out the window, thinking of all the possibilities in your life. I just think it's so wonderful to take that pocket for yourself, which is what the podcast is all about. Yeah. Okay, this is a good one. What goals and habits are you focusing on this year for yourself and for your family?
I think for us it's really focusing on now that we've kind of gotten Arlo into a good sleep routine and all of that type of stuff, is just getting back, and it kind of goes back to that relationship question as well, is things that we used to do that we can do more of, but now as a family.
Incorporating him, yeah.
So one that we were talking about recently is camping. My husband and I have an old van that we converted that we could sleep in.
What is that van's name, Delie?
Vanny DeVito. It's a Vito van. But yes, he's getting to the end of his reign with us, I think, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
He's a bit old. And, but, just having a good camping setup where we can bring Arlo along now. We didn't want to be those parents in the campsite with a baby that was waking up crying 8 times a night. But now we're pretty confident that
because there's some that are... Where I went for my honeymoon, Turon Gates, and the nice glamping cabins we were in are adults only. And I was like, I really wanted to. But there's other ones where you can take kids. But I really wanted to take him to where.
Do you like regular camping, like in the campsite kind of picture tent?
We don't do that. we like amenities and nice beds, and you know what? It's not just me. Alan's a bit of a princess too. We like So I love nature. I'm more willing to do it than him, I will have you know. We love nature, and I love so my baby moon and my honeymoon were 2 of the happiest moments of my life because there was no cell reception. I have never connected with Alan more than on these things where we're cooking together, playing beautiful music, drinking wine, and board games were out. Like I loved it. And then watching the rain and patting the little cows. And so I love nature and I love to be in it. And then I love to close my door to a nice comfy bed as well. And then, you know, where we had the honeymoon, it was like a 4-poster bed with mosquito net.
That's right.
And it was 2 days after the wedding. And, you know, I popped a few Valium for that wedding because I hated doing the wedding. I slept 11 hours. Wow. When is I would say 2001, 98 to 2001 in high school was the last time I slept 11 hours. Oh. And I just conked out. And I remember Alan took a picture of me waking up with the mosquito net. I look so rested, and I just think doing regular things like that is awesome. Exactly. Maybe one day we'll do the camping with do you do like the toasting of the marshmallows or the s'mores or like primary school camp?
All the traditional stuff. But I think if you've got a really good camping setup, you've got
that makes a difference.
Cooking facilities, everything. It's it can be.
Try and talk Alan into it because he's a bit of a princess around that. He likes his amenities.
Yeah. No, but we love it, and just being on the water and out with nature. So we'll definitely try to get that happening this year. We're also
nature. Nature is the key to happiness every single time. So I just always feel like I walk every lunch break, and when I work from home, I walk Leo and I rush back. But I'm currently not working Mondays, and I took him out for a walk, and now that he moves, he needs to stop in the middle of the walk. And I'm like, okay, let's, on the grass. And he's walking around. And then I was like, why don't you try sand? We've taken him to the beach, but he hasn't really been in sand. Yeah. And he's mushing his whole body through the sand. Yeah. And it was late in the afternoon, and you could see the sun was just starting to go down a little bit. And he's looking at it with this gorgeous, perfect little face of this like golden sun on his face and this breeze. And I knew that I didn't have to look at my watch and rush back like I do if I'm on my lunch break at work. And I went to him, oh man, this is living, isn't it? Like this is the stuff of life, but like barefoot standing in the sand. And every time I'm in nature, I'm at one, not just with the universe, but with myself. And I just feel pure joy in my heart. And when we do that as a family, it really, like at least once a week, that's got to be done. I mean, I do multiple times, but once a week at least.
We've been doing the same. We'll go, if it's nice weather on a Friday and we're both working from home, once we've got Arlo, we'll just go take some like picnic stuff down to the beach and just have dinner down by the sea.
Doing.
Just chuck some pasta in a Tupperware for him. He eats more because he comes and has a mouthful, then runs off and does
It's better on a Friday, right? Yeah. And all of Cronulla seems, I don't know if anyone works on Fridays in Cronulla because like I'll go for a walk and all the restaurants are full. Like it's really weird. But everyone parks like on the grass and like watches. Did you do it the other week when it was the blood moon? And it was a Friday night and I'd had a stressful week of work and I was playing that Stevie Nicks song, because it's from the Practical Magic soundtrack. So every time there's a full moon, I have to play it. And I'm watching this really blood moon come up, and then Leo fell asleep in our arms and we're on the picnic blanket. And I was like, oh man, this is great. Yeah. What other bigger goals are you thinking about for your family this year?
I don't know so much if it's a goal, but it's definitely a stretch goal if we're going. So my husband's from the UK, as you know, and so we are taking Arlo back to England for the first time.
Wow.
This year,
when are you thinking of doing that?
Well, it's going to be August, so he'll be getting pretty close to 2.
Yeah.
And everyone says go when they're a newborn because they'll just kind of lie there. So it's going to be, wish us luck.
It's the tough time. Yeah. And we were going to do, I said, well, let's start with New Zealand. So it's like a short trip, and then maybe New York and then Europe plus. And I'm nervous about it. Having said that, the few friends that have done it have had great experiences. So like, the other groups are like Dane and Bedrooms Mrs. She recommended something that helped her sleep too, so I'll DM that to you as well. But it's tough. But I also saw a video on Instagram yesterday with this girl saying, putting headphones in on the plane, and she's like, you're entitled to a child-free life, you're not entitled to a child-free world. So as in, shut the fuck up.
Oh, if you don't have noise-cancelling headphones, that's on you.
That's on you. There's a vlogger I watch who's super, super sweet, and she took her son's exactly your son's age. He was born November 8th or something, I remember. So I watch her thinking, oh, that's what Delie's up to. And she took her son on a domestic flight, and she's like, this guy next to me literally took a photo of me with my child, and I watched him text it to his friends like, I'm seated near a baby. I would demand that photo be removed from your phone, or I'm chucking it down the toilet. Yeah, so rude, but good luck to you. Maybe mama needs a little something for that flight too, hey? But I'm sure it'll be tough, but, it's brief. You get through it. Just do the walking up and down the aisle. I'm a person who walks to the back and does squats near the toilet.
Yeah, me too.
All the time. I can't sit still. I'm terrible on flights, really. But But that's a good goal, and I think that will mean a lot to Phil's family, and his parents are getting a bit older. I think it would be really special to do that. So that's an awesome goal. What advice would you give to new mums as they approach the toddler stage? And feel free to give your best recommendations for must-have items and things like that.
Toddler stage, I would say brace yourself and breathe. I mean, it's just the most amazing. It's what you said,
the best of times, the worst of times.
It's just absolute chaos, but they're in this time of their personality where they're just becoming cheeky and
cheeky.
Testing boundaries and exploring, and it's just so joyful.
Do they do something? Does he do something cheeky where I'm like, no, but then he'll throw this look at you and I have to go in the other room to laugh because it's so cute, but I'm trying to be like authoritative, and how do you stay mad at that
or he
face?
knows, like he'll go up to the back of the television to play with, the electrics, and he'll just turn back, give us this look like, I'm going for it.
Yep. Yeah.
And if we try now, he started saying no to me. I'll go, get away from that, and he'll go, no. I'm just like, okay.
Alan's always like, I'm not even mad. I kind of respect it.
Yeah.
It's like every time he does something like that, I'm like, okay, I feel confident that you're going to be a really confident adult. When you're out in the world, I actually feel less worried. So I think it's better for you to be more like that instead of, I always said, like the school system when we were growing up was very much creating sheep. And, Richard Branson was told you're either going to be in prison or a billionaire. And, I think it's good to push boundaries. I was a people pleaser and straight A student and, wanted that pat on the head, and I spent my 20s in debt in abusive relationships. So I'm like, did I succeed? Or, I'm succeeding now undoing everything I learned. So I think it's good to push boundaries and question things. But, when you're tired and it's been a day.
Oh, yeah. And opening cupboards, playing with it's just danger baby. Anything that's got danger on it, he's going for it.
The boy mum thing is real because all us girls all have boys, and it's I messaged you guys the other day saying, oh my God, it's not so much now, but when he first started being on the move, the head knocks freaked me out. Like he's just constantly, but didn't have the core strength and would fall back and bash his head and I would just get so upset. And Alan looks really concerned, and I'm like, I'm not a bad mother. He was just really, really quick. And I remember Ellen saying, listen, they will fall out of their bed. They will do this. They will do that. Now, talk me through an experience you had with Ali the other day that you said was really distressing.
And this was one of the things I was going to say. I think I've learned, because I definitely do get more anxious and worried, and Phil's a lot more brave. Like he's fine. He's just fallen over.
That's us.
The other day he stacked it on the driveway, grazed his knees, and they were bleeding. And I felt terrible, but Ali didn't even flinch. She just ran off. So for me, it's taking that breath before I react, because they will turn and look at you to see how you've reacted.
But I've said that for years, and it was easier when it's my niece and nephew. It's harder when it's your child. But I always said they literally look at you to see how you react. And I always, I'm European, and I grew up, and when I'd watch the European parents, we're a dramatic people, okay? And every time a European kid would fall, the parents would be like, oh my God, and run to them, oh, my baby, and kiss them. And the Aussie parents are always, he's right, pick him up. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that with my kid. But I do it sometimes.
It's hard.
You don't know until you have a kid how much you're going to feel that protective instinct. And I feel so upset for him. But I'll be like, you're all right, mate. They look to you to see how you react. Exactly. Is she upset? I'm now upset. Yeah. So I definitely try and catch myself and go, you're right.
Me too.
And they are okay.
And you can tell the difference between the cries as well. But even when it's a big cry, they're okay. Their heads are like little bowling balls, but they're so resilient. So they're going to fall over.
And I'm always like, it's a lesser distance to fall to the ground than me falling to the ground. So I'm sure he's fine. But, I don't have carpet. It's all wood. I just don't. I try not to let him in the bathroom because the fall on the tile freaks me out. And he's got this thing now of wanting to hang off the laundry basket. I'm like, have you no sense of like self-preservation? I'm like, you literally did this yesterday, hurt yourself, cried, squashed your hands in the drawer. And you go straight back to it. I thought that whole thing of when kids touch the hot plate and then they know it's hot, he's got no concept of this hurt me yesterday. I'm straight back into it.
Exactly.
It's insane. Surely girls are much easier than that. It's just the PMS stage that
that's worse.
That's way worse.
Absolutely.
But it's full on with the boy mums. Yeah, it's full on.
Yeah, you were mentioning the situation that happened a few weeks ago. So he felt, we were just outside on our outdoor terrace, and he didn't fall from far, but he fell and knocked his face on like a hard edge.
Did it hit the nose? Because you know when you can hit that certain cartilage thing, the pain is just real.
Yeah. And the cry that came out of him, like he cried instantly, which they say is a good sign if they, they haven't knocked themselves out if they cry instantly.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that.
he, that's not medical advice. That's just
okay.
okay. But yeah, he fell and kind of like banged his face and burst out into tears and, was really crying. And I was holding him and we had friends over and Phil and our friends were saying, he's okay. But then suddenly he like almost lost consciousness and fell back in my arms and kind of like stopped breathing for a second. And I had no chill.
I had lose it.
No chill.
No.
Just started absolutely panicking. But he's been holding his breath for, 30 seconds or whatever, crying so hard. He's just kind of hyperventilated.
Yeah.
And so he had, and it was really scary for me. It was terrifying. Yeah. But we asked the doctor about it because we did happen to have a medical appointment the next day. Yeah. And they said it's completely normal. They hyperventilate if they're in pain or if they've been, crying too hard for too long. And that was the case. But I'm just like, great, another thing where, now if he hurts himself too hard, he's going to pass out every now and again.
Yeah, so it's full on. You just can't like foolproof anything. And like I had the nanny had trialed with the first shift and every time he moved, she's on him and I'm like, oh no, let him wander. Because I'm like, he's looking at it like, why can't I move? Why can't I crawl? And I'm like, just if it goes near a PowerPoint or, like you got to let him roam. You got to let him experience things. The other thing I want to do, I'd love my home, but I'm one level up. And the balcony thing makes me, he's a climber.
I'm the same with our balcony.
We are sort of semi-house hunting, maybe not just yet, because it's nice in here in winter because we've got no aircon. I'm like, we can last winter, but I don't want another summer without aircon. But I would love a courtyard or like a little yard. And I do see some of them around here. So I thought that would be nice to watch him playing out in the yard and just not have that sheer panic of being so high up. I was like so anal about Alan, what is that mark on the couch? Oh, man, it goes out the door because it's just like there's just so many marks. I'm like, and I need a new couch. And I'm like, I'm not even getting one. What is the point?
Yeah,
like,
no point. No new furniture.
Nothing white. None of that. Yeah, it's amazing how much you give in to your neatness.
Yeah. Do you find the same with your clothes as well? I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Do you remember when Jacinda Ardern was in office and had a baby and had spit up on her and went to do an official conference?
I don't know if I saw that.
She had it on her shirt and left it. And she's like, I'm a
kid.
mum.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's like it gave us permission to, and I was saying this with my friend at work the other day. She's like, I got stain on my pants. And she's like, I didn't go back in to change it. Yeah. It is what it is, you know. Like,
you've got kids living in the house.
Yeah, I'm not who I was and I've had to give in to the neatness and I'm very anal and very control freak and that's been my challenge to pick your battles and, give in with something. And with Alan too, I come home from a shift in the office and I start my second shift of cleaning up the shit tip that has been two boys in the house all day. But you know what? He kept him alive. He's fun. Exactly. They had fun. You got to pick your battles. I got to let some things go. So that's been my test for myself. Yeah. Things. What are some recommendations you'd give to mums or toddler mums?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you need an abundance of toys. Like, it's wonderful to see Alu playing with his toys and everything, but we found that he just really wants to do whatever we're doing. And so I'm unpacking the shopping. He just wants to play with the cans of tomatoes, like the empty Huggies nappy box. Like there's just so many things that he would rather play with. They say
that midwife that had on, she's a family educator, and they don't know the difference between chores and playing. So he's so obsessed with watching the dryer in the washing machine.
Yeah,
so I take him over and I open it. And Alan's like, apparently I used to lock myself in the laundry and just watch the clothes go round and round. So apparently he's inherited that. I'm pretty sure I never did that. Oh no, but we had the Hills hoist.
Oh yeah.
It was hung on the line. It was old school. Yeah. But I take him over and I open it. I'm like, see, that clothes a bit damp, so we're going to put it in here and let it dry. And he's watching me talk and watch. He's so curious.
Same.
Leo's favourite toy in the world is the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And crawling into the dishwasher. I swear, I turned my head for 2 seconds. The door's down. He's standing in it. He's pulling the glasses out. Yeah. Climbing in the fridge and climbing in the dishwasher is ultimate. Same. I have toys everywhere. I've bought all the toys that everyone recommends, all the, the silicone pulley things. My blue lens glasses are his number one toy. my phone charger, any USB cord,
Yep.
shoelaces, and biting on our toes when we're sitting there. Why buy all these things? But I will say the wooden toys, and
they're
there's some
beautiful.
expensive ones, and I had some wish listed on Temple and Webster that I loved, and I was like, I'll just look at Kmart. Some are $10, some are 20. And I love wooden, A, for the environment, but B, it reminds me of the old school Santa Claus movies I used to watch where you watch them in the workshop and they always made wooden toys. And it's just so lovely. I feel like it suits my apartment too. Yeah. But it's fantastic stuff, like opening the doors with the locks and putting them together. And I had my friend have her daughter over and she loved them too. Like it's really interesting to them. So a few of those have been great toys.
They love them.
He loves them.
In terms of actual products that have been really good in the toddler phase. And I think this is even good at Leo's age and
because he's almost acting like a toddler, isn't he? Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them, but the Subo smoothie bottle, they're just like a little smoothie bottle or you can put oats or anything
that you put
a bit
food
more
in. And
solid.
and my friend Latoya had one with her daughter.
It's been so good because
Subo, is that the brand?
Yeah, Subo.
Okay.
Phil and I both eat everything, big foodies. Phil loves to cook.
Yeah.
They give you this guidance when they start solids or just feed them what you're having. But somehow we've ended up with a fussy eater baby. And sometimes it's hard to get veggies into him. So every morning I just make a smoothie that's full of nuts, veggies, fruit, all this stuff.
Great.
So I know that when I give him that, he's getting that nutrition hit and he's getting the fibre and everything that he needs. And then I fill one up for the afternoon for when he gets back from daycare. Yeah. And he has that as well.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. My nut job of a kid adores broccoli and broccolini and we'll just sit there. I hated broccoli as a kid. I would cry and Papa would make pasta with broccoli in it. Yeah. It was a nightmare. How weird. That's a great recommendation. There was particular footwear that Arlo was wearing when he came in. Talk me through that.
Yeah, so that's hilarious, actually. So he does have the baby Crocs, which are so adorable. And it's quite funny because my husband's family back in the UK, they all wear Crocs. But yeah, all live in Crocs, even the younger nieces and nephews. You go over to grandma's house and it's just all pairs of Crocs outside.
I see every kid with them with those little stick-on things.
So funny.
And I paid out your husband hard for wearing Crocs because you're
did
very
I.
stylish people in your gorgeous, beautiful big beach home. And I'm like, what is that footwear near the door? And now when I see them on kids, I'm like, that is so cute. I am totally getting a pair for Leo.
I mean, Phil kind of did not show that side of himself until we were married, I'll have you know, because he purchased them on our honeymoon. So it was like, right,
he waited till he got you.
Now I'll go and get the Crocs, which is so funny.
Oh, that's so good.
No, for Arlo, they've been amazing because he's got quite wide feet. We tried a few different sets of shoes. He hated all shoes at first, didn't want anything on his feet.
It would feel constricting if you've gone like a year of just walking barefoot.
And the hard, touching hard surface with that. But he eventually got used to shoes, but he was still coming home from daycare and his feet had been like all tight in these shoes and sweaty. And so we thought, all right, well, he's part of the family, the Croc family, so we'll go and get him some Crocs. From the minute he put them on in the shop, he loved them, didn't want to take them off for us to pay. So he lives in them. He goes, shoes, and puts them on just with his nappy on.
They're such a beautiful blue too. They're so pretty.
Cute. So highly recommend the baby Crocs. Listen, but then once they're in them, they're going to be in them for life.
These kids complaining about shoes. Try clubbing till 6 a.m. in high heels. Remember when we used to? How did we do that?
No
I don't know. It wasn't painful until the next day. The balls of your feet would cop it, but you didn't feel it in the moment. It was a numbness.
The other thing that's been a bit of a challenge for us is getting him to brush his teeth. So you're meant to sort of start with water and a gentle toothbrush.
When do you start with the teeth brushing?
Well, they say
you're supposed to start now.
Some recommendations are to start as soon as possible when they're a newborn, just so they start to get used to. And you can
did when he was a newborn, and I
wiping
stopped.
with a cloth or something just to get them used to it. But the actual tiny baby toothbrush, when the teeth start coming through, just with water, you don't need to use toothpaste until they're about 18 months. But it's been so hard because he just forces his mouth shut, doesn't want to have the toothbrush go in there at all. So I went and bought, I think the brand's Jack and Jill, and it's a little buzzy.
I know that brand.
A little buzzy toothbrush, like almost like a baby electric toothbrush, and it has a little light that comes on, and it's a bit of a novelty for him. And so we'll put it in and just do the vibrating toothbrush on his teeth.
So he finds that fun, so it doesn't feel like a chore.
For now, so we'll see. He'll probably change his mind about it or get over it at some point, but.
Well, what has helped me, but the funny thing is I bought it and I was so happy, but I only used it for a few weeks. It's from Kangoo Kids. I'll link it in the show notes. It's like a head protector, but like a backpack. So if anyone follows me on Insta, you might have seen some stories where it's this cute blue dragon with little yellow wings. So and it goes around his back and like buckles at his sternum, but it's got like a padded ring on the back of his head. So when he falls back, it protected him. Now, all of a sudden, after 2 weeks, he's stable on his feet and hasn't fallen once. So I'm like, I didn't use it for long. But there were times when he fell in the bathroom and I'm like, you know what, you've just paid for your money already because that would have been baby head on tile. So that has been super, super helpful. I think if you're a bit of a nervous parent too and you got a crazy boy that's running around, I'll link that in the show notes. That wasn't expensive. I think it was like $25. Super, super helpful. So
I did see those photos.
And that walker that was Dane gave that to me, but you can get them from Baby Bunting, and that's just really good with giving him confidence for walking. And now we walk him along, but he's gotten used to the movement, so I thought that's really good with moving him along. So it's good. Okay, awesome recommendations. So enough with the baby talk. This is can I get a refill? So let's talk about what's something you'll be doing in the next week to fill up your cup.
I was actually just saying to Phil that I want to get back to the float tank, those magnesium
those
float baths.
I went to one in Paddington years ago. Where do you go?
There's a chain called City Cave.
Yes,
and they have
my friends go
on the
there's one in the Shire actually in Caringbah, so I might do that.
And they've got the infrared sauna and the float tank in the same place that you.
I hope everyone enjoyed that and got a little something from that. Delie, my friend, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed our chat, and it's really lovely to watch each other go through this whole experience. So it's beautiful. And now that Leo's moving and seeing the two boys playing together is just warming my heart. So thank you so much. And everyone, please take some time in the next week to fill up your cup. Oh, and as always, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you can. It just helps us so much. Appreciate you. Catch you in the next episode. There is no resource more valuable than time, and I thank you for spending your time with us today. Your voice is so important, and we would love to hear which topics you would like discussed in future episodes. Please reach out by Instagram at Can I Get a Refill Podcast or on our private Facebook group to let us know. If you enjoyed this or previous episodes, we would be so grateful if you could please subscribe, rate, and review to help our voices continue to be heard. Catch you in the next episode.